fantastic morning to everybody. I think we have had a brilliant session so far, and hopefully we'll continue. A couple of ground rules on how we do this. First of all, I want to welcome all the esteemed panelists. Between the think tank that we have today, if you're not able to solve the problem we are going to discuss, I don't think anybody else can. So, applause for all the brilliant people that we have accumulated today. So, fantastic collection of people. The format is going to be, I'm going to be asking three sets of questions. The same question will be asked to each panelist. And I have not disclosed the questions to anybody, including Professor Redana or Ajit. Didn't want to give out the mystery of what it is going to be, and not even you, Meenakshi. So it's going to be something that they'll have to think on their feet, and so it will. I think that's the fun part of it. Three rounds of questioning. Then we have also will allow a couple of minutes of them to give their final thoughts. And finally, after that, we have set aside a half hour for everybody to ask questions. And the way these panel discussions work is the panelists will give their views, but then the audience has to jump in and ask them questions and react. If you do not do that, panel discussions are not that effective. So what I'm going to suggest to Meenakshi is, can you please write down 10 people from the attendees who will ask a question? If nobody volunteers, I would request you to go through that list, because we clearly need audience participation here. This is not just a one-way seminar where you listen, fall asleep, and go home, right? You have to ask some questions, please. So let me get started. Once again, by the way, BG, if you notice, I did not introduce you this time. Last time I introduced you, it didn't go quite well, so I did not.
It was
do
not,
that.
Uday. You were perfectly all right.
Yes. Uh, one of my close and good friends, BG. So I will only going to ask the questions in the order that Meenakshi introduced you. Normally, we have a lot of different people on the screen. So I will have to start with, so the sequence will be Anand, Nishith, BG, Srikar, and then Manish, if that's okay with all of you. And as you know, the topic is, how do we enhance bio-innovation in India, which clearly is something that has been lagging behind. So that's the broad theme. And with your insights and your experiences, I think we'll be able to crack some of the problems that we have right now. So my very first question is, as you know, India's innovation index in biopharma is actually quite low. I mean, and I'm being generous when I say that it's quite low. Although the country's economy is thriving, I'll give you a couple of cases. We have not still launched a global internally discovered drug yet. We have not done that. Israel has done that. China is doing that. But we have not had one drug that we can raise our hand and say, this was discovered in a local pharma and now everybody in the world is using it for Alzheimer's. Same with biologic. We have stayed with generics, we have stayed with biosimilars. We have not had an internally innovative new biologic that we have launched. So, uh, so it looks like in the last 10, 15 years, and I've been in the Indian pharma industry since 2000 now, there appears to be a tendency to be just a follower and not take any lead. And as COVID 19 has shown, I think that strategy was okay when things are hunky dory. But when you have challenges like a pandemic where nobody is going to help you, that strategy is going to fail miserably. So, with that in mind, I would like Anand to tell us, can you tell us, Anand, the number one reason for why we have been doing Me Too research and haven't really, led innovation and launched our own innovative products? What do you think is the reason? And is there a solution that you can suggest, please?
Great. Thank you. Dr. Saxena, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thank you to FABA for this fantastic platform. It's a great honor to be part of it. Great question, Dr. Saxena. I'm going to answer it in two parts. The reason why we are where we are, I think, is because generally the DNA has been risk averse. It's very high risk to do drug discovery. The global standards are $1 billion, 10 to 12 years with a 5% success rate. So even if you take the $1 billion and divide it into a tenth, and you say $100 to $200 million to get a novel drug out of India, we don't have the risk appetite. honestly just comes down to that. The funding pools, the ecosystem, the mentality to take risk to do something that is so moonshotish like drug discovery ain't there. And second reason is the industry academia collaborations that happen in Boston or Bay Area or Israel, where highly validated new targets come out of the university, Dr. Saxena, and then become spawn off into a company, which is how most of the fabulous companies in the US have happened, hasn't yet happened. Having said that, I think we are just at the takeoff point of 2.0 of drug discovery. I think COVID has brought some winds into the sail, and later we'll talk about why I believe so. But these are the fundamental reasons. There are lack of capital locally and lack of having validated targets that are spun out of academic centers of excellence that are then taken forward. But honestly, I believe that we are just at that takeoff point. So it's actually, timing is perfect for such a conference.
Excellent, Anand. You have taken words out of my mouth. I think I'm very optimistic, as you are, that the next 10 years is going to change the landscape. So, Meenakshi, can you be the timekeeper, please? So just nudge us after 1 hour, and then we will shift to a mode of the Q&A mode, if you may, please. Yeah. Thank you. So the same question goes to Nishith. Nishith, do you want me to repeat the question? Really, the question was that, we are lagging way far behind, disproportionately way far behind in biopharma innovation. Can you name one reason for it and potentially a solution for that, please?
Yeah, Uday. So question is clear. Thanks for asking this question. And I kind of echo Dr. Anand's comments here on that we are risk averse. But the other element that I also see is with risk averse comes a lot of other factors, ability to fund the kind of innovation that we're talking about. But then an important aspect also is the ecosystem for the research that we have in India so far, right? We have a lot of aspects of our research have focused on the chemistry aspect of it, right? Even, and I tend to go back to the field that I'm representing, right? From artificial intelligence and machine learning standpoint as well. We have used combinatorial chemistry, the computer-aided drug designs to do good engineering, right? So that's where the designs, we have worked a lot on that aspect. But why have we not really reached a stage where we can do something with biologics, monoclonal antibodies, and so on, right? One key element here is, despite all the advent of the science and the computational aspect that has helped us in reaching so far, the golden era of Indian pharmaceutical is yet to come. And that will come when we have improved the quality of our research scholars and the research that comes out of our academia. And because academia is the one that leads, in a way globally in providing the innovations in the science. And that's where the industry picks it up. So I'll pinpoint on this reason specifically, and also to supplement it, one more sub-bullet, if I may say that, is an important aspect of the basics of the biology that need to be researched on. And this not just for India to really work on, it's globally. We need to be more clearer in the etiology and pathophysiology of the diseases that we are working with. And you will see examples wherever we have a better understanding of the etiology, we have come up with the targeted therapies. And in other areas like Alzheimer's disease or a lot of CNS disorders and others as well, where we don't understand these things, we haven't really come up with a single drug which is meaningful. So these are the areas we'll need to work with, and which ultimately implies we need to improve the quality of the research that's happening at the academia level as well.
Brilliant, Nishith, because my next question was related to academia, as you said. So you must be a mind reader, but thank you so much. That was a brilliant answer. So Dr. BG, you're up next. Do you want me to repeat the question, or I'm pretty sure you're on top of it? So
Thanks, Uday. And once again, last time's intro had no issues with me, okay? All right. I mean, all that has been pointed out by Anand and gentlemen before me, so all agreed. I'd like to add a couple of things, and this is I think a record which I've been playing for many years, is our inability to cross disciplines. The biologists remain as biologists, the chemists remain as chemists. We do not make any effort to cross disciplines. And I think a very important aspect of what you're talking about drug discovery is the ability to have, you don't have to have knowledge in everything, but at least understand that this is, I can work with a team with a completely different discipline. We make it very difficult administratively. I still make this statement that many of us took biology because we didn't like mathematics. And qualitative biology is of no value. You need quantitative biology. So same way, I think that's one aspect which will really boost this innovation as far as products are concerned. It could be, in the biosimilar, it could be monoclonals, or even also in small molecules. The second aspect, which I think has always hurt us, is the very poor involvement of the clinicians in research aspects. This is something my earlier speaker also mentioned, but clearly, Nitish mentioned, but we got to bring clinicians, younger clinicians, experienced clinicians into addressing disease aspects from a drug discovery perspective, or a target perspective, mechanism perspective, pathway perspective, even epidemiology perspective, demographics perspective. I was listening to a talk by Vinod Paul on MK Barnes University. That was super, where he mentioned, when people have done this, you see a large impact. I think we need to, I know we've been trying to do this, but we have failed miserably. Very, very few people from the clinical aspect can you draw into fundamental basic research. The last aspect is, again, a sore point. Our best, the best workhorses, intellects are postdocs in the US. We are not able to attract and keep people back. What should we do about it? So those are the 3 points, Uday, that I would like to raise.
Fantastic, very profound, BG, as always. I'll tell you an anecdote. I have very close friends who are very successful clinicians, and I bring this up with them as to how come you guys show no interest on, studying disease biology, affiliating with university or something. They say we are far too busy. Unlike your colleagues, physician colleagues in the US, where everything is streamlined, we are far too busy. I mean, he says the number of patients I see, sometimes I only have 2 minutes per patient, but that's the way it is. So, but clearly, I completely agree with you that something has to be done and integrated. Maybe they need to have, during their MD program or whatever, have 6 months of rotation in a lab or something, because that is a huge gap in India moving forward in disease-related products, I think. So, fantastic, BG. Srikar, sir, do you want me to repeat the question? First of all, can I see you, please? I don't see you. So
okay, my
now
video
I do.
is
Yes.
on. All right.
Yes, now I do. Do you want me to repeat the question?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely, I'm good with the question, and please don't call me sir. I'm pretty.
I couldn't see you. In
Right.
India, one thing I've realized: when you can't see somebody, it's
The problems.
safe to call them sir.
All right. Yeah. So the first thing is I would like to thank Dr. Ajit Kamath, who brought me into this panel. So because he asked me whether I can participate, and it's really an honor to be with all you eminent people. So that's the first thing I would like to say. The second thing is I'm just going to talk my mind out, because some of the points that was discussed is something which I don't agree to. For example, lack of capital is one of the things that has been told is the cause for not developing novel biologics. I disagree, because we are the third largest economy in the world. We are the third largest economy. Our biotech sales, basically, or the revenue, contributes about 3 to 4% of the global revenue, in spite of we selling biosimilars. So I don't think capital is the problem. Second thing, smart researchers, or the lack of smart researchers, which is also another point that has been told. I again doubt that's a problem, because the people I've been meeting, the young scientists just coming out of bachelor's, the aspirations and the knowledge that they are bringing out is extraordinary. The ideas they bring out is extraordinary. So that's not another point which I say is causing this novel biologics not to come out of India. What I think is we do not have a foundation, or we do not have enough scientific people in the government bodies or the regulatory bodies who can assess the merits and the demerits of a biologic or a novel biologic or a drug in a scientific fashion, uh, and say, okay, this is going to work or this might be a problem, because the government agencies like FDA provide support, ask questions, not to put them down, but to tell them what are the things that is going to be required for you to move the medicine ahead. That is the kind of involvement we require from the government regulatory bodies, because at the end of the day, they are the judge. How do we do it? We need to have scientists like, many people, including Dr. Ajit, clinicians, research clinicians, as rightly mentioned, in a panel of purely scientific knowledge, who do not put down the people based on what it is, but encourage people to come up with ideas, tell where the positive criticism, you can say. And I suppose that's what is lacking from our side. As far as the other thing goes, like money or the researcher's mind, I highly doubt that's the problem, because we got brilliant minds. The people who are here are the people who go to US and Europe and make breakthrough discoveries. So it's not that. It's a lack of proper guidelines that is said, because India, we still don't have any novel biologic guidelines. We have several iterations of biosimilar guidelines, but we don't have a novel biologic guidelines. Yeah. So these are the fundamental structure that needs to be brought in if you want to develop. But having said that, I'm sorry, I'm just taking too much time. Having said that, we have to be patient with respect to the way we are developing. We are developing at an enormously great rate. For example, we were less than 1% of the GDP, the pharma and the biopharma 10 years back. We are now about 2%, almost 1.72%. So we are growing in an extraordinary fashion. So monetary wise, I don't think it's a constraint at all. That's what I want to say. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Insights into that. I'll just tell you an anecdote, though. If you look at all the pharma owners, big pharma owners in our country, they're equally, if not more, invested in real estate in India. So,
exactly.
I mean, there is a capital, but whether the risk capital is available to do innovation, I guess, is the question. I completely agree there is capital there. It's just a matter of where is that capital going in. So I just thought I would, you can do this research yourself. All of the huge pharma owners actually heavily invest in other things as well. So,
is it okay if I just interject just one point to add?
Absolutely, please.
Okay, all right. Again, it's a cycle. I'm sorry to say, but it's just a cycle. So if you have a proper outlook and a guideline where the pharma guys can actually say, okay, if I develop a new molecule, there is a person whom I can approach, and they're going to give me the support to take it to the next level. If that's there, the pharma guys are going to go and invest into what they think is the best. Now, why the pharma guys don't do it and put it in real estate or gold is because there is nothing there out there where it can be seen, okay, it's there, I can develop it and make it. Even if they make it, they're going to register a company in United States or Singapore, for example, mainly for tax purposes, and the molecule is going to come out there. So it's intertwined, I suppose.
Yeah. Totally agree. Yes. Thank you very much, Srikar, for that. I think very unique insights, should I say. So thank you very much. And the last person on the list is Manish. Manish, by the way, is the only person who's representing Government of India. So he has a lot of pressure on his shoulders right now. I know Manish for a while, and he's a very articulate speaker. So Manish, do you want me to repeat the question, or you're set to go?
No, I'm okay. I think it's a pain point. I think that everybody, all of us, can relate to, whosoever is associated with the pharma side as well as from the ecosystem side. So first-in-class discovery has been very pathetically low. Let me put it this way, without mincing any words. the seeing from industry perspective and the landscape perspective, I would divide it into two. One is the preclinical discovery, and then the development arm. So if you look across the landscape, we do not have prior experience, an experience to develop clinical leads that are competitive, globally competitive, to be taken to for development. And secondly, most importantly, we do not have experience of clinically developing a candidate. Now that's a major lacuna. Uh, Compare any pharma company, biopharma company in India, and put it in context with any major pharma or biopharma company which is global. You would notice the product pipeline is very flimsy as regards to Indian pharma companies. You hardly have any molecule in clinical development, maybe one or two molecules. And we all understand that more than 60% of molecules which go for clinical development would fail. So unless you have a development pipeline of, let's say, 25, 30 molecules, then only you can anticipate couple of them actually seeing the light of the day. Now, so that's a major differentiator in my perspective. I think the second arm of your question was how it's going to be fixed.
Right.
So I feel that the kind of experience India has been now populating, let's say in terms of biomanufacturing, so we have developed a lot of strength in that sector, how to handle, how to manufacture it in large quantities, and along with that, like all GMP, GLP, and clinical grade material. So that's an asset. India has more than 100 plus biogenerics or biologics which are approved, much higher than any other country, right, in the whole world. So that's an asset which is getting developed. I 100% agree with the rest of the speakers that we have talent inbuilt, although we are acquiring that experience while working abroad in different companies, but that experience is getting populated now. So it's over a period of smaller time, I would believe that we will start to see the green shoots in both preclinical and then quickly connecting it with the manufacturing arm and acquiring some knowledge of the development and moving towards that. So that's an optimistic view. I would
Fantastic.
stop here.
No, fantastic. I actually think I was thinking of the automobile industry. As you know, the automobile industry in India has exploded. I mean, today you have to research for 1 week before you choose which product to buy, right? And I think one of the models they have used is to work with foreign companies and slowly transfer the technologies and then become autonomous. So is something like that would you recommend for India, that we kind of transfer the skills in innovation by partnerships?
No, my vision is that rather than doing the conventional way, I'm very optimistic that sooner or later we will have global pharma companies seeding into India.
Okay.
And they might be setting up their smaller innovation units for various reasons we can debate, like R&D cost, etc., the talent pool, and the ethnic biodiversity that India offers. So the clinical development becomes very valuable and unmatched, for example. And the cost, GDP cost, affordability in India's population, the GDP, everything is increasing. And this is a segment which represents like a large global population. So Indian scenario will get mimicked in other emerging major markets too. So a molecule which gets developed here in this ethnicity background would have far solid in terms of efficacy and safety if it gets implemented elsewhere. So I feel it from that perspective that India can attract many companies in a very short amount of time.
Yep.
The investment, I don't see that investment is a bottleneck. It will flow on its own, and we've been seeing it, as you said, automobiles. Now we are seeing other segments too. So it will move and it will keep in flow, and it would be a combination. No single company can do
Yep.
move things in forward direction. So it's a culmination, a strategic collaborations at each step between several players to move forward. I'll stop here.
Yep, excellent, Manish. Completely beautiful insight from you. Thank you. I'm going to move on to the second question, which actually I think Nishith already kind of saw what was coming. And that relates to, if you look at who is going to do the innovation in the future, yes, I can do it and Ajit can do it, but we can probably just do it for 10 more years or whatever. The real people who are going to do innovation are the young people who are attending this workshop. So my question is, are we, for example, in my case, I was lucky. I did my PhD on a disease biology related project, cardiovascular disease. So very easy for me to have translated that skills to translational and product related research when I went to the industry. So that helped me a lot. So my question and this would be for Anand, I guess, to begin with, is the quality of our PhD in academic research programs really providing the basis for these people to think innovatively and think translation and think products? Or are we still in the publish, perish, grant, local awards, this award, that award mode? I mean, do you really think that that's an issue that we need to look at? Or are you satisfied that the training we are imparting to the future innovators in this country is good enough, Anand?
Okay. Again, tough question. I want to start by first, you just rewinding a little bit, and you spoke about whether, international pharmaceutical companies should come and set up here from the innovation perspective.
Right.
The only reason Bugworks is here, Uday, is because of AstraZeneca, India.
Yep.
Only reason. And, we have a long way to go. We are not yet, claim success. But whatever little success we have happened is because of the talent that Balganesh and his team put together in AstraZeneca, who are part of Bugworks, that kind of thinking from the innovation perspective.
Yep.
But back to your very specific question. 7-8 years ago, when I was in CellWorks and we were looking at the PhD talents to hire from India, it was really not very good. It was too siloed in their thinking. Today, when we interview people with PhD here, they're still not industry ready. Uday, I'm going to be very honest here. Just again, I'm only going to speak from our experience and the sampling that we have done. We still prefer folks who probably go and get a postdoc and come back so they have a particular skill set and they start thinking a little bit in orthogonal spaces. Because as BG mentioned, gone are the days where you can say, I'm a DMPK specialist, I am an in vitro biology specialist, I am this. Those days are completely gone.
Yes.
If for the young folks who are sitting there, please think data. Please think data, please think computing. It's over the days of saying, I'm a super PhD, I'm a double PhD, I'm a postdoc who's done a fantastic job on a particular gene and protein. Uday, those days are gone. Because most of the work we're doing are integrating computational elements in there, some understanding of computer science, mathematics, analytics, because this is the major change that is completely changing the way in which drug discovery is done. So I think India's come a long way. The quality of PhDs compared to when we were interviewing PhDs in CellWorks has gone up quite a bit. Also because folks from other disciplines are coming and getting PhDs in chemistry and biology. It's great when you have that cross-pollination type of process. But to be directly industry ready, to have CRISPR skills or to have a particular bioinformatics skills, etc. Uday, it's still, I think we are there. Probably we are like 60% there where we need to be. Still our preference is for someone who's got that broader exposure and has worked in a lab that gives them that understanding of to think like a startup, to think like, to think in innovation landscape and not purely in a reductionist approach. We're getting there. Again, I'm positive, but like I said, if we were here, we have moved almost 60% to it. But I want to finish this comment by saying that more and more we are finding folks with finishing PhD in India taking more computer science classes. And I want to be very happy, and those who are listening today, who are in their PhDs or postdocs in India, please think data. Data is the oil of today, oil of future. It's going to drive biology, it's going to drive chemistry, it's going to drive even clinical development. So consider it as basic oxygen in your job ability and your ability to go and do your own company down the lane. Thank you.
Anand, great answer and great advice. I think, one of the things, and I'm going to put a plug in for this workshop, is this is a workshop where you will at least have an introduction to what the industry needs are. I don't know if you got a chance to look at the program, but this was such a well put together program. And at least it gets you start thinking about, industry needs. So I think your advice was fantastic. And as always, you're very articulate. So thank you very much. By the way, I am going to have Dr. Reddanna towards the very end speak for a few minutes. He's the guru in this country of academia industry. So it'd be unfair for us to talk about academia without having Dr. Reddanna's perspective on this. So, but I'll save the best for the very last, Dr. Reddanna. So, the next one, and again, Nishith, you are a mind reader. So can you please react to the question that I asked, which is,
Sure.
Is the academic training good enough, or that's something we need to, really, really boost up for us to be innovation ready, or the next generation of innovators ready? Yeah.
Sure. So before I even start addressing this question, Dr. Uday, so let me ask a question as well, and all of us can answer it, I know, positively very much. Aren't we proud of the QA scientists that we have across the Indian pharmaceuticals, right, who are working in the generics and across the world as well? Yes, right?
Yes.
India has produced a lot in this area, right? And this has come out of all the academic research that has happened, and people have learned with the industry and so on and so forth, right? But is it sufficient for us to, leap into the future? Not really. We need to go some extra mile in order to make sure that we are ready for the future. Now, today's academics, right, in terms of the curriculum, the PhDs that we are doing, right, it needs to change significantly. And partially, Dr. Anand was also referring to that. The PhD scholars that we have, they should start taking the computer classes as well. Because a lot is happening in that area where you can really understand in advance, what you're trying to do, what is the probability of this getting successful or not, right? Now, leaving all these issues aside, right, not just in the PhD, it should begin a way early into the academics, as I would say. Maybe we bring in some integrated courses that start at your graduation level or post-graduation level, even before you are going into the doctoral and fellowship, postdoctoral fellowships like that, right? That's number one. Number two is we need to really bring in the medical institutions in India into the research arena, right? It's not the jobs of the labs alone in India, right? At the university levels to take the research forward, right? The medical institutions need to come because they also have a great deal of understanding from a patient standpoint, right? And having been a clinician myself, I practiced for quite a few years. Having been through that journey, I understand what a clinician can actually bring to the research space, right? Because they understand those patient requirements and they understand that area very well in terms of the disease pathophysiology and so on. The third thing that I would, and again, I'll bring in my current domain of artificial intelligence and machine learning here, which I will say is not there yet in terms of, taking the research into the immediate, we don't think we can get a Mars shot today by bringing AI and ML into this space, but this is the journey that begins now. An important element, if you look at it, is think about all the publications that we have with regards to the research. Now we are referring to those kind of publications and start building our research further and further on top of that. Are these researches, all publications, reliable? Can we repeat the same experiment in our lab today? Maybe not, maybe yes, right? But before we come to a conclusion, there's a lot of time, energy, and money spent in order to conclude whether this research is trustworthy or it is not trustworthy, right? How can we really do that? right? This is where a lot of artificial intelligence and machine learning skills that a scientist develops that can come in handy to really screen all or scan all the publications, a lot of publications in a smaller period of time, and identify which are the ones that they should be focusing on. Finally, I'll just put it, the last words on it. A biologist or analytical chemistry scientist or whosoever the person is doing the PhD, if they are empowered with the skills of understanding the computational aspects, artificial intelligence, machine learning. I know people have a lot of skills at the PhD level in terms of the statistics, but that needs to go a step forward. That's number one. Number two is a PhD scholar, whoever is doing the research and beyond that as well, should be complemented by the different areas. It should also be medicine. It should also be the computer sciences. And one person bringing in this kind of skill set may or may not be possible. And hence, we also need to diversify the way we create our research teams at the labs level as well.
Yeah. Excellent, Nishith. I mean, I couldn't agree more. I think from what you and Anand have said, we are getting there, but we are not there yet. But you pointed out some specific solutions to how we can get there. And I think for the students, I hope they are, writing all of this advice down, because this is simply brilliant. One other element that I like to add from myself is that, I've studied in the US and I've been here too. One thing I notice is that the robustness and the skill set and the mindset of a PhD student is very dependent on who the mentor is here. You could have a university with 50 faculty, but you will see only 5 faculty. Dr. Redana is a great example, who thinks that, he has had industry relationships from the very beginning. So all of the people who trained with him can kind of have a sense. So I think there is there in pockets, the ability to be able to transform ideas into, but it's simply not in the critical mass that we need, I think. So, but as you guys said, I think there are ways for us to get there, and certainly that's going to happen the next decade. So same question to you, BG. Are we, and I've heard you answer this very elegantly and very bluntly before, so, but I'd like everybody else to hear your views. Are our PhD programs and academic training ready to support an innovative, bio-innovative ecosystem?
Answer is no. And it's not a negative answer. The answer is we've got to get there, and we're getting there. So I will make a couple of points which probably are I have seen over the years. So I remember the late 80s and early 90s. There was this huge discussion in academy. What's the value of a patent? Okay, patent up to the 80s was a bad word, practically. So was profit, right? Patent was a bad word. And slowly we got around that to accepting patents are important to keep innovation and research going. And there was a flurry of activities in terms of everybody wanted to patent everything under the sun. Yeah. But even today, you hear patents are being filed because the institution won't let you publish it if you don't patent it. It's not, so that value of a patent, if it is innovative, I don't think it's still obvious, and we have not made that obvious. And I think that's extremely important if you want to get a culture of innovation built at the research level coming in. One should be proud of a patent. We believe as a patent as a CV tick mark. Okay. Totally. The other thing we have to agree, and I remember when we did a summer traineeship for people from all over India who were in their masters, you could pull out 6 or today maybe 10 to 15 institutions who you would always prefer students from. Right? Yep. And the reason is they would hit the ground running. So to generalize, are we ready? The answer is no. But are there institutions where they're ready? I think yes. And if you really strikingly see the striking difference between these two, one of the things that you mentioned, for example, when you did your PhD or you did your postdoc, PhD mainly in outside India, you do a lot of rotation courses.
Yes.
Okay. Institutions in India which do this type of rotation courses, I know IIC does, I'm sure others do too, you get a much broader view. And what I always keep saying, quantitative biology, quantitative chemistry, and today a lot more. So there are institutions where you're ready. There are institutions where you have to work on to make it go there. The last point which I want to make, which I think I've made this previously and which you are referring to, is that over the years, the traffic from industry, from academic to industry has improved. In India, there are more and more people who have academic experience are coming into industry. But point me one industry person who has moved to academic and has had a senior joint appointment.
Yeah.
Can you tell me why? Is it because none of the industry people qualify? You might also say there's no opportunity in the industry. That's also possible. So I'm not just blaming one realm of it. We have not created that. And I think it's extremely important to create that so that there is an understanding of what the industry wants and how it goes about doing it.
Yeah.
Everything in the industry is not just business aspect driven. Yes, we heard how projects have to be dropped, but that doesn't mean that everything is done like that. There is, I remember Dr. Ban always telling me, Ganesh, a product will only come from excellence in science.
Yeah.
Mediocre science will not give you a sustainable. And I think that highway has to be created.
Yeah.
And there are opportunities to do it. It's a question of, like you said, tone at the top to be able to deliver on that. So these are the 3 or 4 points I had, Uday. Back to you.
Excellent, BG. In the US, they also have these endowed chair professorships. So Pfizer would allocate some money at a university and they have Pfizer endowed professor. And that way there is a highway, as you said. I think that was a beautiful word. That highway is created. And, we don't have anything like that here.
AstraZeneca created around 10 chairs all over India. I don't want to talk about what happened to it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Beautiful insight. So, Srikar, would you like to take the same question, please?
Yeah, absolutely. The question basically is: are the PhDs that India is generating are capable of developing innovative molecules? Is that the way you're asking the question, or?
No, I'm saying, are we training our scientists today to be ready for translational and innovation science today, or are we just focusing too much on publish, perish, kind of a culture?
Okay, so I'm not a great person for this question, but the way I think, honestly speaking, is a PhD is a time where you learn how to do research. That's what you do in a PhD, and PhD at the end of the day is just a degree. That's how I see it. I don't see it as I don't see it as a means for excellence. Now, industry, for example, when we take the BTech graduates, freshers out of the right out of the college, the amount of knowledge that they bring in, again, I'm telling the person whom we brought in was exceptional. Hello. I think something is.
Do you want to mute? It looks like it's coming from Shaukat. So
Shaukat, if you can mute. Okay. Yeah, you are set. Please go ahead.
Yes.
Yes.
So the way I see it is, a PhD is just a degree, but what you require is a scientist, and it's not necessary that a scientist has to have a PhD degree. That's the way I think, because any person who can discover, make novel discoveries or inventions, or even make incremental improvements in certain technology is a scientist. Now, coming to the point, okay, what do you require create great scientists. I'm not going to say PhD, but I'm going to say create great scientists. It can happen even in the industry. All you need is one person who's able to look at different aspects of different people, bring them together and take charge. And when that is done, I suppose you are creating scientists, essentially speaking. And nowadays, honestly speaking, even organizations or companies, private sector companies, are inclined towards not only patents but also publications. So, I mean, we are a startup company over here, and we have
Dr. Shaukat, can you mute yourself, please? Yeah, thank you.
So we do encourage people and the scientists over here, although they're not PhDs, to go for publications. So when they do that, it opens up their mind of thinking in an angle which is different from whatever we are the experiments that they do. So I think it's not the PhD degree that we should be seeking. If we want to fast track all this innovative development that needs to occur in India, but to focus on nurturing the talents irrespective of the degree, to see a positive outcome down the lane. So I think that's pretty much my thought point. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. When I meant PhD, I basically, because that's kind of like the benchmark training that you're expected to have to become independent. That's why I brought it up. But I completely agree with you. You know, it's anybody, whether it's a PhD, non-PhD, postdoc, can have the skills to be able to translate ideas into a product. That part I agree with.
And all you require is a great mentor, a person who takes the charge, puts all the disciplines together. For example, if you want to develop a biopharma product, I mean, just knowing biology is not going to work. You need to know chemistry, you need to know biology, you need to know cell-related aspects, molecular level aspects. And it can't come from one person or two persons, but it is going to come from a cumulative people coming together. And for that, you require one person to lead it, understand what's happening, and then develop the molecule. So I suppose that's what we require. We require one person to lead and to lead and groom multiple scientists. So over the course of time, these multiple scientists will inculcate the same habits and expand the way we do science. I suppose.
Excellent. Yeah, excellent. I really appreciate that viewpoint. Thank you very much. Manish, do you want to take a shot at the question, please?
Yeah, why not? Thanks, Uday. See, about 20 years ago, I had a chance to go after my PhD. I went for postdoctoral study in South Korea, Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. That was an eye-opener to me at that time. Reason being, it was a research institution at that time, first in eastern this belt of Asia. Every single PI, every single lab chief, he or she would have at least 3 to 4 industry connects. Every single one of them. And every single one of them would have a venture company of his own, like a startup that we call it, right?
Yeah.
So similar kind of exposure I saw when I was in Japan in around 2013 to 2014. Every faculty in any university, in any research institution, if does not have a collaboration, that person is seen as an inferior person within the community, within the peer. So people will strive to their level best to engage with industry. No? So that is something which we would like to have inculcated in Indian industries, Indian universities, research institutions all across. Unless we reach to that level, we will not be able to bring that quality exposure that we are talking about. I think today what is happening is, since we are so many, right? So within that large mass, there are few outshining examples who actually make extra effort to expand their skill sets, expand their exposures. So they work from one lab, but they also engage with somebody else, go outside, get postdoctoral experience done, do move from lab to lab, and expand their horizons. But I've seen people in the research institutions as well as universities, they will, for their entire career, they would continue work on a one particular theme, and they would retire from there. And imagine the students, the people around them, their junior staff, the people they hire, it becomes self-limiting in nature. And I think we should be open enough to accept that. And that's a everyday story. We see that, around each other very commonly. But here I also must bring out another element which I'm very happy to see, and that is very satisfying. The number of institutions are have increased over a period of time. The number of faculty members have increased over a period of time. That has opened up new vacancies, new openings, where let's say assistant professors are getting recruited. Now the recruitment has brought in international talent, like bringing back the talent which has been trained abroad. Now those are very aggressive faculties, and those do not work in the conventional format. They strive and they make every single effort to acquire projects, extramural projects, collaborate with not only with their peers within the institution, but the parent institutions or the international exposures they had. Now students, PhD students or master students who work with them, or the graduate student who get trained with them, they get very good exposure. So that multi-dimensional exposures are getting delivered here. One more element from government perspective, I would also like to suggest here. So gone are the days when a single PI says that I want to do this project and I want to seek a project grant. So the tendency is it must be a collaborative project. And it has also gone to a next level, that multilateral projects, not like two people coming together, but multilateral. And there are many provisions we all know from BIRAC. We actually encourage having an industrial partner along with you. So I think things are changing from all dimensions, and we would have a stochastic effect going down the line.
Fantastic, Manish. Some of the insights you mentioned, I think a lot of people would not have been aware, especially the funding part. So excellent. Meenakshi, how are we doing for time?
So I was just going to ask you if you would be open to questions.
I would be open to questions. So what I will do is I will skip the last question that I was going to ask, and let's move on to questions from the audience. But before that, I'd like to have 2 minutes of thoughts from Dr. Redanna on, is the academia preparing people for an innovation ecosystem or not? Just maybe 2 minutes, if that's okay.
Thank you, Uday. Some of the participants were mentioning that in this panel, there is no representation from academic institutions. So there are a lot of points raised at the academic institutions, but there is no panelist in that. So thank you for including me. So as many of you pointed out, I think academic institutions and universities and R&D institutions, they have state-of-the-art infrastructure and expertise of the faculty on par with any global institutions. But the interactions with the industries is something that is not to the same extent as we see in anywhere in the developed countries, like in Bay Area or Boston area. Kind of interactions are not. That is mainly because lack of push from the academic institutions and lack of pull from the industries to tap on the resources and expertise that is available in the academic. These are the two problems from both sides are there.
Yeah.
And the another one is there is a systematic isolation of academic institutions from the medical schools and hospitals.
Yeah.
None of the universities, IITs, ISERs, any of these institutions have hospitals or medical schools. And we are all working on biomedical problems without even understanding what is the situation in the clinical setup.
Yeah.
Even the new institutions that are being established are also the same. They are not including this. For example, University of Hyderabad for past 30 years has been requesting MHRD for setting up the hospitals and medical schools, but it never happened as on today also. So this is the major lacunae for us to translate any of the ideas that are coming out of the biomedical research from the basic scientists into the next level.
Yeah.
And as everybody has pointed out, our industry, both in pharma and biotech industries, there is no lack of financial resources. They have enough resources, but they are averse to risk taking, and they are very happy with generics and biosimilars. And very few are venturing into innovative drug discovery. And as a result, today, the students coming out of the universities and institutes, large number of PhDs, and very few opportunities for innovative research in the industries. Even some of them join, they get frustrated with the routine kind of work that they are put in. There is no innovative research. So as a result, they land up in overseas in various institutions. So there is no such kind of opportunity, that many number of opportunities. For example, if you take the IT industry, they have large number of openings. The manpower that is available are not at all trained, but they absorb and train and then make them into working force. But in pharma or biotech industry for innovative research, if you see in entire Hyderabad, there may be 100 openings per annum, or around there are thousands of students coming up from the universities and institutes. Where do they go? They have to go. So thanks to the government of India, which has come up with the startup ecosystem, BIRAC has done a wonderful job. A large number of startups have come up, and that is where the innovation is happening. And so that's where many of our masters and PhD students, some of them are starting their own ventures, some are finding place there to work on innovative research. But to go to the what is the future of these startups is something that also is a major problem. So as pointed out by yesterday Kaushik and today Anula, the venture financing ecosystem is not there. So up to a certain level, the preclinical research level, so the government of India through variety of programs are coming forward. But to the next level, you need to venture financing. No single venture financing company will invest in these companies. You need a number of such. Nobody would like to take risk alone. If other venture financing companies are also there, they would like to put chip in and probably take them to all the way to the product development. So that ecosystem needs to be developed, and hopefully in the next few years, such kind of ecosystem develops, and more academy industry interactions and basic and clinical research merging, and so collaborations will happen. So then only I think innovative research and innovative products from India will be coming up.
Beautiful summary, Dr. Red, and an excellent overview on, how the academia and industry can. You've spent almost a lifetime on trying to nurture that, so only you would have had those insights. Fantastic, thank you very much. Let's move on to the questions, Meenakshi. So what I would suggest is that
Dr. Saxena, I think Dr. Anandkumar had one quick point to make.
Sure, absolutely, Anand. Yes.
Just 15 seconds.
Yes, no problem.
Uday. I just drew a triangle of what needs to happen for us to move to the next level, right? And I think just it dovetails beautifully with what Professor Redana said. One is the regulatory environment. We have improved a lot in the last 5 years, but still to do phase 1 trials in India is a no-no. All of us, including Bugworks, are going out of the country to do phase 1, probably a phase 2A, and then come back to India. We have improved a lot in the last 5 years, credit to CDSCO, but they are also now thinking we have to open up more phase 1 units. So that's one axis, right? Second axis is funding. If anyone can pull it together, it's Manish and team in BIRAC. If they can stitch together a partnership of small angel funds that come together with BIRAC to fund narrow and deep. That's the second axis. Third axis that none of us touched today, Uday, is lack of big pharma in this platform. Next time we have this conference, Phaba can do it. They have a fabulous platform. We should have the Ciplas, Dr. Reddy's, Sun Pharmas attending this. So we can hear from these big pharmas, what do they see is missing from the small guys? Yeah. Why are they not collaborating with us? Why is there no M&A? Why is there no exit? Maybe there's something amiss in us. So I think those three axes coming together, that will be the 2.0 for us. Thank you.
Excellent 15-second Gyan. Loved it. So Meenakshi, let's move to the questions. I would suggest that people identify who they want to ask the question and also identify themselves. Sure. And also, please, one question at a time. Please don't ask 3 questions at a time.
Uday, this is Bindu Madhav Reddy.
Hi, Uday. How are you?
Hi, how are you? Good. So rather than a question, whatever as an academician, what I faced, I just want to have 1 or 2 points from what has been discussed so far.
Sure.
So one is the clinicians are not able to come to the academics and whatever it is. See, there is no opportunity for clinician when they passed out MBBS or whatever it is. If there are any, maybe very limited. So if they want to do PhD, they will not have any fellowship. They will not be able to qualify CSIR, and it is literally like a bottleneck for them. And there is no program like that. Apart from that's why what they do is they again go back to the hospital and then keep working it, and then they will give up their research ideas.
Yeah.
And then there is no opportunity like that.
Yep.
And second thing is, see, we always talk novelty and then discovery. There are very few discoveries now all over the world. And I believe in India, we adopted in such a way that like survival for the fittest. And then though it is a little cost effective or little novelty or a different route and all, we are surviving and then we are doing very good.
Yeah.
So let us not discourage that. At the same time, and even then we say novelty, and then we do the same thing. People who are sitting this side or that side.
Yeah.
So then problem is when a grand presentation or something goes wrong, or even a young mind goes and then discusses, where is the novelty? What is there in this? How do you define? So those things really discourages them to get into this entrepreneurship. And one thing is the big grants are now very, in the Bionist, I see many people, you maybe also noticed, Uday, there are very young people who started the companies.
Yes.
And if there is big grant below 25 years or with the age, even though they may not have innovation, that thought process, mindset, whatever the trial which they could do during that below 25 years grant or whatever it is, it really you are training industrialists or entrepreneurs into a big level. Like for example, 45 years now, and now only I'm thinking, and as you are saying, we have a time for another 10 years. That's all. Already we are full of so many problems in the mind, so we'll not be able to think what a 25 years old person thinks. But that opportunity is not there for such people. At least with this big grant, I see many young people have got the grants and then thinking and then venturing into that side actually. And I mean, since Manish is there, maybe we'll take care of that, and then really good, rather than pumping huge amount of money to some grant into some one institute or one place.
Yeah.
So that absolutely is just for show up. I believe it, and maybe we should change that funding strategy where the government is involving, and it has to be involved where industry doesn't come. So because of that reason, I'm just putting this point actually.
Excellent, Bindu. I think
And that's
taken,
what
yes.
we like. For example, Inspire Fellowship. All these things should be there. Such kind of liberal grants or fellowships to be given to the clinicians so that they can come into the research, and then the liberal funding to the young minds, so that whether they get the innovation or not, but definitely it adds to the Indians' strength for the future. Thank you.
Very good, useful suggestion. Thank you. Meenakshi, I see you getting nervous, so let's shoot with the questions.
I am getting very nervous right now, sir, because I have so many questions rolling in and I do not know where to begin.
Take it away.
I think we'll just take the hands first. So, okay. Yeah, go. No, actually, Pallavi, you could just hold your question. Dr. Shantanu Datta has had his virtual hand up for quite a while now. So, Dr. Shantanu, if you could go ahead, please.
I have a philosophic question. In India, innovation is often equated to the term jugaad. And I think jugaad and innovation are not at all equal, especially in drug discovery. Jugaad is a quick fix, and often in newspaper article, we often hail some jugaad here and there. And that mindset, if it goes into drug discovery, will anybody take a drug which is discovered based on jugaad? That means it is an imperfect solution to a problem. Drug should be perfect, nearly perfect. And this, I think there is a philosophic, as if we do not strongly condemn, I'm using the word to provoke the concept of jugaad in drug discovery. That is my single point. Okay. That this equivalence is not equivalence.
I agree with you, and I think that's a separate debate we should have. I am also very conservative, like you said, but I don't think we need to have any panelists answer that. But complete agreement with your jugaad view, Santanu. Thank you. Meenakshi, next question.
Hello, can I go?
No, Bindi, you just because there have been a lot of participants with their hands up. So, Meenu Rani, I think Meenu, could you hold 1 second? I think Pallavi was next.
Good morning, all the respected speakers. I'm tech biomedical student from IIT Ropar. So I want to put forward the student's perspective. Can I?
Yeah, just one question, please, only. Yeah.
I want to put forward the student's perspective. What I think is that lab reality is far from the market reality, and the industry people are not believing in the students on the first. If we can have more internship opportunities in the industry, I think the students can understand the market realities in a better way.
Okay. So that's more like a comment rather than a question, I see. A complete agreement with you. In fact, as somebody who recruits people in the industry, I like to see people who have done even a 6-month internship helps a lot. So I would say, Pallavi, that your suggestion is actually a very good one. So, all right, Meenakshi.
I think Santosh had his hand up and put it down a couple of times. So, Santosh, if I'm not mistaken, could you go very quick?
Yeah, so thank you all the panelists, excellent discussion. So I'm just talking from the contract research organization perspective. We are seeing the Bugworks coming through the AstraZeneca, which was the foundation. So like that, CRO now has matured. They work with multinational companies, and we have this like AstraZeneca. We are like all the multinational companies work with us. So there is a knowledge pool here. So how do you envisage that CRO can work on use that and just come out of this traditional model and can try to go for the innovation of its own? Is there any shall we spin out from the CRO, or shall we go for the within CRO integrated platform? So what is and I just want to know from all the panels, any thoughts there?
I think we will limit it to Anand and Dr. BG because those are the two direct questions you asked. So perhaps BG can go first and quickly Anand maybe.
So
yeah.
without going into too much detail, Uday, a lot of CROs have transitioned to CDMOs, and that's how they've gone into a lot of innovative work and then partnership with big industries. You can take half a dozen of the leading CDMOs. They all matured from CROs. Some of the Indian CROs are already moving into the CDMO space, which basically saying that they built the knowledge to do innovative drug discovery. And at the same time, then they partner and they find big pharma partners who then use them as niche discovery engines. So that's the route that I have seen and I'm familiar with. Back to you, Uday.
Yep. Anand, do you have a couple of
yes, just 15 seconds.
Yeah.
First of all, I think our CROs, as BG said, moving to CDMOs are doing outstanding work. Most of the top pharmas are coming here to get a lot of work done. We also get most of our work done through CROs here. Uday, I think the new model that's going to happen is small innovative companies like Bugworks and many other small companies are going to get together with these CROs to form a sort of vertically integrated platform, because we can't do CMC, we can't do manufacturing, but we have the chaotic nervous energies to do the early stage work. CROs and CDMOs bring scale up and the back end to market. Maybe coming together. We don't need to become each other, but we can come together. I see that model.
Excellent. Yep. Totally agree with that. So Meenakshi, next, please.
Dr. Jagan, I'm going to request you to hold your question. We have a couple of participants from CDFD. So Abhishek and Bindi, if you could perhaps ask a combined question, that would be great.
Yeah. We are not together right now, so I'll go mine. Okay, so it's the question is towards like Dr. Srikar and Dr. Anandkumar and Dr. Uday can also answer. So like as you were saying, like the nowadays PhD are not like industry ready. So what do you mean by that? See, from my side, I'm doing my PhD into like compound screening and I have some knowledge about like docking and simulation. So what other skills do you expect from a PhD student? And like many of the time, like some people say you go for the postdoc, so you will have a exposure to your like area of interest. But in the end, what happens when you come to the industry, there is a chance that they might say you are overqualified for the job. So when to know this is right time to go to industry? And which industry should be the best to start with? Like that will be another question, because I can see there are a lot of people from different industry. So maybe Dr. Uday can answer that question. That will be unbiased one.
I will hold off till the very end. Let the guest speakers, guest panelists go ahead first. I think you wanted Srikar and Anand to address this. Am I right? So
yes,
Srikar,
yes.
do you want to take a shot first, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Abhishek, I suppose, yes. Right? So you're absolutely right. So the thing is, what we look at the PhD, honestly speaking, is the way they think. All right, the ability to solve problems. So it's not going to be specific to whatever you're doing some docking studies. I understand, but when you come into an industry, it's going to be much beyond just the docking study. So we will expect you to not know per se, but have analytical thinking and the problem-solving ability as a PhD when you come in. That's what we look at. The second part is you should also not go into an industry which is absolutely not related to whatever you're doing. So if someone is doing a simple biosimilar production or it's just production, I'm not even talking about R&D. And if you're going to be applying for a position over there, your expertise in whatever you're doing is going to be unutilized. You'll end up as an operations head or something like that. However, if you look at a startup company which are actually doing in whatever you're doing in your PhD, and think about applying yourself, albeit your pay is going to be lower. Now, as soon as you go out, you want to have a very big high with a great brand name associated company. If that's the case, yeah, you will end up in something which is not going to be in your specialization. If you're looking at something which is a lower pay, but at your whatever you're doing, whatever you're interested in, then a smaller company, perhaps, yeah, they will take you in. But you have to open up your mind. So it's going to be either your specialization, lower cost and no brand name company, or the other way around. So yeah, that's how you have to think.
Great, thank you. Anand, do you want to add your 15 seconds?
Yeah, I think Srikar said it all. Abhishek, just be open to change, because a lot of stuff that you learn is going to change when you go out. And orthogonal skill sets. Just, as I said, if you have some appreciation for computing, appreciation for chemistry, biology, translation, be open. And I think most companies are looking for people who can communicate well, work in teams, and be adaptable. It finally comes down to that.
Yeah.
but we can chat offline if you want more details.
Yeah, sure, sir, sure.
Actually, Abhishek, I am not going to answer, but I would suggest that next time we have a drug discovery workshop, I can allocate one session to how to get industry ready. I think that's a very important thing. So, okay, let's take the next question, please, Meenakshi.
No, I just have this one. I mean, this is just from my side. I just wanted to know quickly. So one of the biggest challenges I think I personally felt is access to a certain course, like you said, the orthogonal courses. So I find it, though I've been told that, YouTube is the best interface. Why should I go to YouTube? Why don't I have this, why don't I have it easily accessible in my university? So I think that is something that a lot of us have to work on, starting with coding. Given in this data-driven world, I have absolutely no idea how to go about this, and it's taken me 5 years of just mentally convincing myself that biology doesn't, a biologist can code, So I'm just starting with X is equal to 5 now, but I'll get there, So
that's the flexibility that we were talking about.
Uday, may I respond to that?
Yes, please.
Yes,
so, Meenakshi, I think that's a problem of many. And that has also gone in a policy level discussion. And now there is a new education policy which will be rolled out soon. And there, even at UG level, the boundaries of BA, BSc, honors courses, that is getting diluted.
Fantastic.
So person can actually take any credit course across different disciplines, and the total credit courses will actually yield you a graduate degree. So these options.
Can I just add on to whatever, say, if you don't mind?
Yes, please.
Yeah, 10 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, you don't require expertise in orthogonal subjects. All you need is to understand the data that is generated out of your orthogonal methods. That's all you need to understand. You don't need to know how to do it. You can outsource it, get it, understand the data. That's all is important. All right.
Correct.
Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thanks,
Dr. Jagan from Reddy's, if you go very quickly.
Yeah.
Sorry, I took half a minute.
Yeah, right. It's a general. First, let me thank all the panelists for the great discussion, and we are already really learning a lot. So especially in countries like India, when we are not in a position to offer like basic life-saving drugs, antibiotics or something, even some 1 rupee paracetamol to remote people, tribal people, not to everyone, then should our focus be on prioritizing the making existing all the drugs affordable and available, or bring one new drug by investing billions? So where our focus should go? So yeah, that's it.
Maybe Nishith, do you want to take first shot at it, please? Are you there, Nishith?
Yeah, I'm there. Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead, please. Just take a shot at the question, which is,
right.
Do we focus on breakthroughs or Me Too's, or,
So we've been focusing on Me Too's in India for a long time now. And as I was saying earlier, our focus should now go to the breakthrough therapies, right? And within the breakthrough therapies as well, we should rather focus on the targeted therapies that are going to actually be the game changers.
Yeah.
And that's what the industry is moving towards as well, right? Globally, if you look at it, the need to treat the patient is through the targeted therapies now. And that's, let's not even talk about the cell and gene therapy. There is a lot of progress being made there. There are biologics, there's a lot of progress being made there. But if you recall, there's a precision medicine concept that has been there for a long, long time now, right? And I think we are heading into that direction. And this is the time and place when we will realize our dream for precision medicine and the targeted therapies, right? Now, while there are quite a few challenges, right, it's not about just understanding a receptor or a target here. It's also about understanding the whole pathway and how these pathways cross-talk with each other. That will pose the challenges. There are significant challenges when we come to the research on the biologics, monoclonal antibodies, and cell and gene therapies, and so on and so forth, because these are very unstable systems that require a lot of effort to stabilize, a lot of time and money and research and innovation to really take it forward. But the matter of the fact is that's the way forward. This is what we should be looking for, despite all the challenges. Yeah. Some have been overcome, some we need to overcome, and we continue to work there. But Me Too is something which everybody is doing. We need to continue doing that in order to fulfill the mass requirements. But just one last point before Dr. Anand comes in. Commercially, if you look at it, the US prescriptions, I'm talking about the US, so 70%, 80% of the drugs that are prescribed are generic in nature, right? Only 20% are the branded drugs. But in terms of the revenue, if you look at it, only 20% of the revenue is generated by the generic drugs, right? And the rest of it is coming from the branded drug. So from a commercial viability as well and commercial attractiveness as well, if you look at it, breakthrough therapies are the way for the future. And that's what is going to fuel the research. Unless you generate more money, you're not going to fuel the further research as well. So you need more and more money to fuel that research.
Yep. Excellent, Nishith. Excellent. Beautiful answer. I saw Anand raise his hand for his 10 seconds. Please, Anand.
Yeah, Nishith took it away beautifully. But just to add to it, I think we need both, Dr. Jagan. We are very proud of what we have done in generics and manufacturing of vaccines. We have proven to the world that's India's strength and extremely proud of it. But we have to solve our own problems, be it cardiovascular, infection, diabetes. We have to become innovators. Otherwise, we will lose out on the value chain, up end of the value chain. So I think both are required, and it seems right. The timing just seems right for us to get into first in class as well. Thank you.
Totally. Meenakshi, I think we should just start winding down. Maybe three questions or so.
I don't think there are too many. There are more comments from the audience. Ajit, so would you like to ask something?
No, I'm fine. Yeah.
Hello, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Manus.
What I understand that from that industry wants multidisciplinary knowledge from students, correct? But if we see our space science, this is evolving especially from academic science, correct? So in that case, there is a problem in connection between the industry and academia. So can you mean that industry and academia come together and say what they want actually from students?
Well, yeah, maybe BG can answer it and perhaps supplemented by Dr. Reddana's answer as well. So BG, you want to take a shot at it? Essentially, what does the industry want in 30 seconds, if you can kind of.
So the industry would want you to think laterally and parallelly. I mean, most of us are exposed to some type of research, some topic, etc. But the crux of the learning there, whether you've learned, sorry, I'm going to take a little more than 10 seconds. People have asked me, when I was a student, I was asked, why is it called PhD, Doctor of Philosophy, and not MD or doctorate or something like that? And I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I was told in PhD, you learn the philosophy of doing science. Simple running controls, running possible hypothesis. So that's what industry is looking at. I mean, it's not just the job you have done. How do you approach the problem? And do you see, can you formulate a hypothesis? That comes from interdisciplinary thinking. Back to you, Uday.
Very elegant answer, BG. Completely agree. Dr. Reddana, would you like to add maybe 30 seconds of what you think from the academia side, how people are preparing?
I see, we have realized this gap between academy and industry in human resources development. What kind of skill set is required by the industry, and the training that comes out of the academic institutions is not able to meet that demand. And realizing that only the FABA started the FABA Academy. And this academy is mainly to bridge that kind of gap. This workshop is part of that effort of the FABA Academy to showcase the complexities that are associated with drug discovery and different opportunities that are there in different disciplines. And in fact, we are taking up coming up with a program of the syllabus that was prepared by the industry, either in chemistry and biology, and then offering hands-on training in that skill set, and which will probably come once we overcome this COVID problem. So the gap is anyway, is always there, but in order to bridge that gap only, this FABA Academy has come forward.
Thank you so much. I think that's Yeah, please, somebody wanted to add a bit.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a point. I know this industry and academia collaboration I've been hearing forever in India, especially. And I'll tell you the biggest challenge has been so far, especially difference between India and US.
Yeah.
The corporate in US, the industries, what they do, they offer very generous internships, summer internships every year from academic people.
Yeah.
And they come learn, and this is what it brings closer. So the Indian industry needs to be a little bit more open for that.
Yeah.
And what it does is they may think they may be wasting time. Actually, it's not true. Yeah. They're feeding the future generation, actually. And that's what serves the purpose. So it has to be more open, Indian industry. That's the only way you can build the system. Yep. And that has to happen. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. I've been hearing this for 15 years, actually. Same old story. And it is not academia problem, it is an industry problem. Yeah. So I know the new companies such as Bugworks and other people are more innovative coming up, and I'm sure more will come. But this feedback loop is missing. Unless industry takes an aggressive step, it's going to be a problem. I will be hearing for next 10 years to the same problem.
Jagat, I can tell you at a brilliant point, but I can tell you a lot of the MSc courses in India now require a 6-month internship at a company. As of last 3 years, that has been mandated. So you're exactly right. It has to be forced upon the industry too. So Meenakshi, it's over to you. If there are no more questions, are there any more, or are we? How are we doing for time?
I have a couple of questions, but do we have time?
How are we doing for time? It's your call. The time is you're the timekeeper.
I think I would ask our organizers. Do we have time for another question? Meenu, I think would like to go.
Yeah. Go ahead with one question. Last question.
We have one last question from Meenu Rani. Meenu, you can type your question.
20 days, last 20.
Hi,
you want me to type my question?
Yeah, you can type the question because I think we're losing you.
Yeah. In the meanwhile, I have one comment to make. There was a question about CROs.
Sure.
Can they do their own drug discovery? And the answer is yes. You know, if you look at Jubilant, they started their own Jubilant Therapeutics. Okay, as an offshoot, they are doing their own drug discovery. You can look at it. Same thing with ReaGene. ReaGene now has their own drug discovery and then their own pharma services. And there are other companies who have left CROs and started their own drug discovery. So the opportunities are there. I just wanted to provide that answer.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ajit.
So I think just before Meenu sort of sends her question, we have a very interesting, a quick take on this, if you could. Is the Indian academia biased towards quantity of research rather than quality of research? I know it's a heavy question, but somebody could perhaps.
I think Professor Reddenna is probably the best one to address quality versus quantity, Professor Reddenna.
Hi, Sai Niket. We will discuss this in the university.
Okay. That's probably the best way to handle this. Yes. Excellent. So Meenakshi, while the last question, I don't know if it's come in or not, but has it?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Oh yeah, here it is. How can a basic science student contribute towards drug discovery and take part in it?
Okay. I think I've troubled all the. Maybe I'll have Ajit answer this one.
Yeah.
Please.
How do you go from basic science to?
It's mostly your passion. Absolutely, your interest to contribute to drug discovery and your interest to learn, and that's it. Okay, and when you go for the interviews, tell them what exactly you want to do and how you want to do it, to show your enthusiasm with data. Everybody talks about data, so just say, you know, what you have read. If you have done some experiment related to useful for the industry, please bring it up and show that you are interested in such a environment, such a job. That's it. Okay.
So will an idea do I have to give you data? Will a really good idea also work?
Oh yeah, idea is good enough. Yeah, absolutely. The knowledge that you gain is fine. Okay, from the literature, what's going on in the field. If you have done work similar to that, that will also be fine. As long as you show interest and passion, saying that, you know, I want to do something in drug discovery, that's all it counts.
Very good advice.
For all our panelists and our moderator, Thank you
I
so
just
much.
want to, yeah, can I also do the thank yous?
Yes, please.
One
Sir.
second. Yeah, I sincerely wanted to thank, BG. I have been very familiar with. I know how profound and how thoughtful his answers are. Thank you, Anand. This, I think, is the first time I have done this with you, and if I do another one in the future, in fact, I'm going to invite all of you back. Nishith, BG, Srikar, and Manish. I think I've done a couple, but thank you so much for your time. I know all of you are very, very busy, but you made the time to come here and share your thoughts and opinions. And you did it brilliantly, actually, so elegant and so articulate. And you could see that when you have a lot of questions, it's usually a sign that people understood, the whole discussion. So thank you very much. Greatly appreciate your time, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Uday and organizers. Fabulous panel. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Enjoyed the discussions and with the fellow colleagues as well as Uday. You stitched it very well together.
Oh, thank you, Manish.
Congratulations, Faba, for a great show. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. This, I think we would have all loved for this to go on for a while, but thank you so much.
Hey, no. So it's back to you, Meenakshi. I'm going to go get my cup of coffee now.
Yes, yes.
From IKEA, is it today?
Yes, Starbucks. Yeah, you have some memory, BG. Thank you.
Take care. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anand, Manish.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Redana. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Redana.
Thank you.